Does it feel like you just can't find what it is that you're passionate about and stick with it? Does it constantly feel like you're starting things and then stopping them and then quitting them and then starting new things? Did you recently find out you're a generator or a manifesting generator in human design? In this video, I'm going to talk about what is actually happening when you're experiencing what I'm describing. And I'm going to talk about ways that I have used and found helpful that have helped me get out of that generator slump. Let's get into it. Inside of Limitless University, my private community, we were having a discussion about this very thing. And in natural generator response, someone goes to me, "You should make a video about what you just said." And I said, absolutely. She already has somebody who she can send it to. And I'm like, this is perfect. I know that I'm speaking to someone and that helps me. So as generators, when we are living in response, when we have ideas, when we have thoughts, when we have inspiration outside of us, it may have even originated inside of us, but when we have these things, we will oftentimes experience a pressure, especially with the cultural, societal conditioning that we've been exposed to. They say things like, strike while the iron is hot. Or if you wanted something to happen, you got to go out there and make it happen yourself, or you got to do it yourself, or any of the other things that have that essence of struggle and, you got to get to it right away so you can get through the process, like all of these things. And so as generators, we are meant to live in response. So when we have these things, we're supposed to take a beat and wait for something to solidify that is the path that we should be walking down, that we should be the course that we should be moving on. And so I'll give a great example of this here shortly. So what happens as we're responding is we are here to master what it is that lights us up. What is it that excites us? And if you are a manifesting generator, you are here to lean into all of your passions. The world tells you you got to pick one thing and stick with it. And the reality is that you would be bored if you just picked one thing and stuck with it. Like my daughter, she's a manifesting generator. She's constantly busy, constantly doing a bunch of things. And so because that is our purpose, and because we're constantly attracting things that ignite that response in us, our authority is very important in this dynamic. First, let me say that. So something happens, and this is where I'll bring in the example. So Black Friday, I was receiving a lot, right, as a business owner, a lot of inspiration, a lot of pressure, a lot of stuff around Black Friday sales. I even went to a human design Black Friday masterclass, giving us some ideas, and I felt really inspired after that call. And I immediately wanted to start putting together an offer so that I could have something for Black Friday. And this was Black Friday's November. This was like sometime in October. And so I was preparing for the October 30th masterclass that I did. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to get everything solidified, slides made, get these invitations out, if I take my focus off of that to go and work on Black Friday things. And so I just I acknowledged, and I have emotional authority, I acknowledged the excitement. The yes was still there. However, the how that I was going to execute getting there was not in alignment. And so that's why I didn't feel the energy, and I just kind of let it flow. And so the idea, like I said, Black Friday, I want to do something for Black Friday, but maybe it'll have to be next year. And this was this kind of underlying script that was happening in the background. And all the while, I'm doing what I am meant to be doing. I'm doing what feels good. I'm building this slideshow. I'm building all of these things. And I get an email that basically says from someone in my network, they're putting together a list of offers from people in their network who they really love, especially like spiritual entrepreneurs, etc. And they would love to share this list with their people on Black Friday. And it reignited that response that I had, that yes, that I was operating off of, but releasing the how again. And so what ended up happening was I launched the community on October 30th, and then I did another masterclass on November 22nd. And so in that time, I decided that the rate that I had launched this community at was going to be the intro rate. And so when I had this reignition from something in my environment reminding me of my desire, I was like, oh, that's great. I can just call the rate that I'm charging people right now, that's seemingly the normal rate. I can just start marketing that, relabeling that, rebranding that, right? Brand strategy. I can rebrand that as an intro rate to create that urgency that a lot of Black Friday sales have. And so this beautiful synergy happened where I did not have to hustle or grind or initiate. There was something that was brought into my ecosystem that helped me to do the thing that I wanted to do. So this kind of response is what happens, especially when you are living in alignment with your strategy and authority. And so why this is important is because as generators, we operate on this kind of stair step kind of situation where, so you have this initial surge to mastery, and then you have this kind of plateau that happens. And so during this plateau, it is meant for you as a generator to check in with yourself, because you really want to decide, do I want to continue to nourish what it is that I'm building, what it is that I'm mastering here? Do I want to continue? And if so, based on your strategy and authority, you will then continue to be brought things, opportunities, insights, books, etc., that will help you do the thing to get you to that next level of mastery. And then another stair step, and it continues. Another stair step, and it continues. What also can happen is that you can continue on this path during this plateau, and it will then, if it's unaligned, make you feel super frustrated. Because what's actually happening is during this plateau, it's meant for you, because it's unaligned, to actually let it go, to move on to something else. But because you're following the cultural context and conditioning that says you have to do something till the end, stick with it. You keep pushing, you keep pushing, you keep pushing, and you may have a little bit of surge to mastery, but then you're going to reach that next plateau, and it's going to be really easy for you to quit, because it's just going to keep getting harder and harder and harder to go down this path because it is unaligned. And so really when we're on the plateau of this generator stair step that we're going up, when we're on this plateau, it's really a time to check in with your authority. And it's really a time to check in with the wisdom of your body. And so what I mean by this is that I have emotional authority. And so for me, clarity comes through time, through waiting it out, which is double the weight for generator with emotional authority, but we're not going to talk about it. Patience is a virtue. And so while I am receiving this this mastery, this next level surge to mastery, or while I'm in this plateau, I check in with how I'm feeling. Do I feel satisfied? Does continuing on this path of mastery light me up? Is this something that I want to continue? Is this something that I have the energy to continue to share with people? Am I still lit up about it? And if any of the answers to those questions result in no, then I need to really consult the wisdom of my lived experience, of my design, of a number of things that we look at, but especially my human design, because I realize a lot of times that I have gate 53 in my conscious sun. And gate 53 is the gate of beginnings. It's the gate of new possibility and hope and things. And while I do have the other end of that channel, I believe on my design side, while I do have the other end of that, I recognize with that being in my purpose that everything I start, I'm not meant to finish necessarily. And so when I look at that, I'm able to give myself grace and permission and validation even to say, you know what? No, I'm not feeling this thing anymore. It's not bringing me satisfaction. That satisfaction piece is key when you're asking yourself questions in this plateau, because satisfaction is the generator signature theme. Frustration is the not self theme, the theme that tells you that you're out of alignment. And so what I really want to wrap this video up with is, how do I get through the slumps? And at first, I used to rush through them. I'm just going to be quite frank. And what I learned was that in rushing through those slumps and letting my mind control what I thought was going to be the thing that was going to get me there quicker, because I was experiencing a stalemate on this step. And one of the things that I've observed is that it just leads to frustration if it's not aligned. And so I get really intentional during those periods. And what I've started to do, I have these, this is one of them, but I have these 11 by 17 pieces of paper. And the very first time I really recognized that I was in this slump, I did this because I recognized that in that slump, the inner critic, the noise, it was all just swirling around in there. And I couldn't even sift through what it was saying to get to the ideas that would give me the inspiration to keep going. All I kept hearing was how it wasn't working yet and like all of the things. And so what I did is I took one of those pieces of paper and I wrote down everything that inner critic was saying to me, so that I could then later look at those things and see where the lie was and see what was true instead. So that was one of the pieces of paper. Then I had this other pieces of paper, because once I was able to sift through that outside noise and get it out of my head, give it acknowledgement that it needed so that it could leave me alone, I then had more space to generate ideas. Generators. I then have more space to generate more ideas. And in that generation of ideas, I developed the framework that I am now using in my business that has gotten me results again and again and again. And so that's really what this slump is for. It's, do I want to keep fighting for this? Do I want to keep pushing for this? Do I have the energy? Do I have the purpose, the satisfaction, the want to? Does this excite me? Do I want to continue during this path? All of these are questions to ask yourself when you notice as a generator that you're feeling stuck, as you're trying to build something, as you're trying to obtain mastery in something. And what I will say is that the more you can do this during your slumps, the clearer it will become when a slump is actually meant to like exit, or when the slump means let's continue to the surge of mastery. And these are the types of things that we talk about inside of that private community, Limitless You. We meet every week on Tuesdays at 11 Eastern. We have master classes each month where we dive into very specifics of energetics. And this month, we're talking about women's cycles and working with, the luteal phase and the menstrual phase and all of these phases that have their own energy and productivity outputs that sometimes we just ignore because we're listening to cultural conditioning that says, just push through it, just keep going. Don't worry about it. we also talk about the different energy centers, the different gates, so that you can get a better understanding of what it is that you're looking at when you're looking at your human design chart. Because ultimately, this chart is like a owner's manual for this vessel in this lifetime. It's a turn by turn, step by step. How am I configured to bring in success, happiness, joy, whatever you want to insert there. And so in these monthly masterclasses, we dive into those things so that you can have that understanding, so that you can be confident in the solutions that you're meant to nourish your people with. Not only that, but also be confident in you. This has helped in business for sure, but it's also helped me in my personal life. It's also helped me deepen and strengthen the relationships of those who are around me. I have a 7-year-old who does not have the emotional intelligence that I would like her to have. And so understanding her design and how she operates and how to communicate with her and how her energy shows up, like all of that has been super helpful. And you can have these insights too. So what I want to extend to you is an invitation. Join us inside of Limitless University. And if you want to learn more about the tool that I'm talking about, I highly recommend that you come to one of my monthly workshops. They're just an hour. It's very interactive. You pull your chart, we go through some of the things on your chart, and you can get a feel for if this is something that you want to experiment with, because that's what we in human design call it. We call it the experiment because it is different than everything we've ever been taught. We haven't been taught to source our wisdom from our bodies, to listen to our emotions, to listen to our intuition, to do the work, turn it in, get good grades, do this other work, then it'll lead to, like, we've been taught these things that actually don't work for us. And we're choosing the experiment of listening to us instead. So that is this generator slump that happens. And I am excited to dive into this more with you.